Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You that you and me that me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean? Jump and shout all over the nation. We're breaking out with a new creation.
Marina Andrewin Staine is working as a nurse practitioner in Miami. She sat down with our Belize Watch team on their recent visit to reflect on her life's journey from Gales Point, Manatee in Belize to the United States of America. We will have that conversation after we hear from our partners. Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, the Barry, Shell Belize, and the National Gas Company.
Shell V-Power with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well! Go Shell!
My name is Carlos Rodriguez. I am Belizean and I have been in this business for 6 years. Finally now, because of transparent prices, better product quality and fairness in the market, I can see my headway. I have worked hard to buy my own trucks, get my business going, and not depend on anyone. And with NGC operating in the market, I can feel good about the future for my small Belizean business and our employees. In just a short time, I have seen the difference in product quality. A better product means your beauty lasts longer and you get more value for your money. With NGC, there is a fair price across the country. No games or hidden middleman prices. My small business can finally compete in a fair way and be able to pass on better prices to you, our consumers. Trust me, I've been in this business a long time and finally the playing field is level and transparent. I am Carlos Rodriguez from San Ignacio Town and I can finally see my headway.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Belize.
It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You that you and me that me.
And we are still in the Miami area. And I said the Miami area because I'm not too sure exactly where I am right now. But I'm with Mrs. Marina Andrewin Staine. And it's an honor, a privilege to meet you, Miss Marina. You are, in your own way, a Belizean icon, right? You are the wife of Justice Sir Albert Staine, the late Sir Albert Staine, who I happen to have met in my younger days, right? And who I have the highest regard for. And so it's a privilege and an honor for me to be able to talk to you today. I must say that before I even start. So thanks for welcoming me to your home. And we're going to talk about you, you know, and who you are, and we'll get to know you better.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for this privilege. From my youth to now as a Belizean, I think it's really a privilege for me to share some of my life experiences so that other Belizeans know that we are great people and we have a great future. We just have to work on it.
Marina, before we get into the discussion, let us look, and maybe we should dedicate this program to the memory of Sir Albert Stein. Can we do that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure my son will be delighted. David, he'll be delighted. Thank you.
Let's dedicate this to the memory of Sir Albert Stein, because he really served his country well.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think somewhere in our discussion, his life will come out, right?
I think so too. Yes, thank you. I hope.
Now, let's get to know you. Who is Marina Andrewin Staine?
Marina Andrewin Staine is the eldest child of Ethel and Philip Andrewin. I was born in Belize City Hospital, but a few weeks later, I became a Manatee girl because Andrewins are from Gales Point, Manatee.
Okay.
So all my life I grew up there. All my education, all my life foundations I got from living in Gales Point.
So you're Ghana, Manatee. Anyway.
Yeah, I attended the Anglican school. My father was a devout Methodist, my mother an Anglican. And I don't know, somehow they contracted at marriage that the girls would be Anglicans, the boys would be Methodists. But in my mother's family, my brother Philip was the first male to be born in that family for 3 generations. So my father lost. However, my eldest sister who comes after me, Valerie, Mrs. Valerie Andrewin Jenkins, she became a Methodist, so sort of compensated him. But the rest of us are Anglicans. But it didn't really matter. We went between both churches at all times because my father in his spare time was like an assistant lay Methodist priest, minister, so he did the sermons in the evenings and we went to church with him.
What was it like growing up in Gales Point, Manatee?
Gales Point, my furthest memory was we had thatch houses. Everybody had a thatch house and a thatch kitchen in the back. And let me tell you, sparks fly, fire. However, there was one main road down the village, and it was the village is about a mile or so long. Yes. It was a very, very close-knit community. It was subsistence farming and hunting, and fishing. That's how Gales Point people lived. It was a place where you could say a village, it takes a village to raise a child, and the village raised a child in Gales Point. Any adult at all could discipline, scold you, or come and tell on you, which was worst. And you had to be very respectful. Good morning, good evening. We had to be well groomed. That we were poor. My brother said once we were poor and we didn't know it. But that is because we were well fed. We were healthy. People in Gales Point live long. We had fresh fish, fresh food, and the forest in the back had game. So we ate good meat and good fish and good food. And the educational standard, I think, was very good. When I was a child, people like the Baileys, the Hendys, Ina Wade, the late Ina Wade, they went, Jerome Galt and all the golf, they were doing very well, and we were blessed. I got a government scholarship. In those days, they only gave 30. And you got room, you got boarding, school fees, and books. And I got one. And my brother Philip got one.
You got that government scholarship, you had to move to Belize City, right?
I had to move to Belize City. That was not a bad move because my grandmother lived in Belize City. My grandmother was my role model. She was a staunch political supporter. She was an NIP to her backbone, as she said. And I learned politics and government from her. I learned how to be a woman, how to be dignified. For her, education was paramount. She was extremely proud of us. She had 5 daughters, only one she got in high school. So when her grandchildren now were going to high school, it meant a great deal to my grandmother. Yeah. She always encouraged us. She took me to political meetings. She read books. She shared the stories with me, and I got to learn a lot from her. When I came also, my aunt, one of my mother's sister, Aunt Myrtle, she was not married. She didn't have children. She insisted that I join Reader's Group. Okay. At Reader's Group, I met Miss Alice Gibson. She was chic, pretty, and smart, elegant.
Yes, I remember Miss Alice very well. Yeah,
elegant. Very well. And I adored the woman. She always looked nice. And that was my role model. We read, we learned how to debate, to argue, to discuss, how to get up and speak. And that was always something, that was a skill that took me through life.
How did you get from Belize City to Manatee in those days, to Gales Point, Manatee in those days? Because there was no road.
5 to 7 hours. You either went on the riverboat or you went in a lighter. The lighters were cargo boats that took produce in Gales Point with sand and plantains and whatever we had. Oh, they took copra to coconut and coconut oil to Belize City. But my mother and I could not go because I, believe it or not, my father was a seaman and we got terribly seasick.
Okay.
So we went by river, which was a long trip, but it was pleasant because along the river banks,
the Borden Canal, right?
yes,
The
we went
Borden
up
Canal.
all those canals and the two big lagoons,
And then
Northern
River,
Lagoon. Yes, it was pleasant
yeah.
and pretty.
Yeah.
And I remember too, in one canal, Borden Canal, you had water lilies growing. It was so pretty. It was really a nice trip. And sometimes they stopped on the road so you could run in the bush, and there was fruit, crab and what. And as a child, and cocoa plums, as a child, that meant a lot. It was an exciting thing.
That Borden Canal was dug really to open up the inside of the country and allow that passage to Gales Point, Manatee,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it was done by the governor, the British governor at the time was Sir John Burden, I think it was. You know the story.
Yes, I know the
and so they
story
dug the
very well.
canal
It had
and
good
let it
fish
out to the
too.
Siboon River.
It had good fish too. All along those the riverways had good fish. So people used to go fishing if you don't want to get because Gales Point was fortunate. There was a tiny waterway from the canal, the Manatee Lagoon, onto the sea, and so you could go through there and you get
Go
fish.
to the point.
Yeah, onto the Manatee Bar and then and fish out there as well. So it was really nice.
It's a beautiful area, no?
absolutely.
Marina. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember sunrise. I remember sunsets in the wet. I remember full moon. I remember the stars. It was really a beauty. We never needed a fan. It was cool. The breeze was always blowing. It was a pleasant place to live, a great place. It was a very beautiful place to live.
A nice Creole village
Yes.
because Gales Point was
Gales Point was a
predominantly
black
Creole.
village.
Yeah.
So Black Village, I mean, they had the drums, standby drums. They
Standby.
beat the drums and they had the big fire. I love fire. Big fire. They make this big pile of leaves and whatnot, and they burn it, and the sparks flying and the flames. It was beautiful. It was really a nice thing.
As a matter of interest, the same canal that they dug to reach Gales Point, which was such an important community.
Yes, absolutely.
The Borden Canal is a canal that separates Belize City, Southside Belize City, from the mainland. So that is what converted Southside Belize City into an island, basically.
Yes, because they cut
that
it
Borden
through.
Canal, because
Yes,
they cut it,
cut through,
because
cut
of
it
that
down.
canal that made it an island.
Now, talking about the social life in Gales Point, apart from good schools, we had a cottage industry, and that was run by Miss Iris Abrahams. You know Myrna Manzanero?
Of course, my mind went to Morna Manzanares.
She was at school with me. So, and her mother, she is like a replica of her mother. Every time I see Myrna, I remember that. And you had to go looking neat, well-behaved, well-mannered, hands washed. And I remember the first time I ever earned, I made a laundry basket, $6. I counted it over and over. That was big money. And my mother said, no, you're not going to spend it. I kind of, what?
So then I make you spend your $6?
No, I had to go to Belize City, the treasury, and me open up an account.
Okay, with
So
$6.
that's $6. But I felt like a rich person then. That was a lot of money in those days. So I always remember that. The thing, and we also had a library. And we didn't have a lot of books, so you have to find out who have the book and ask them when they're going to bring it back and run quick and change and get it there. So we had a good culture. We had good schools. We had a library. We had a cottage industry for a social life. Additionally, Miss Iris K's mother, we had mobile cinema unit. So every now and again, you got some, they had that big reel thing, that and everybody carry your stool and your bench and go and watch movies. It was really great. And then we had 2 dance halls. And the people came in from Belize City, especially during the summer holidays, May holiday, and they had bands. And then the boats will come in full, and there was dance. And people came who didn't even have a place to sleep. And there was big dancing and whatnot. We had lots of mangoes, everybody's yard. And so people wanted 3 years and pick up some mango if the dogs don't bite them. And it was really a great place to be. Really, really nice.
Of course, you could bathe in the lagoon.
Yes.
Don't forget that part.
And the nice thing about our lagoon, it was a peninsula. So we bathed in the front, and the back was where the sewer went.
Yes, that's right.
So it was clean. So when I heard in the United States that people ate catfish, I was shocked to death.
Yes. Yes.
because Belize people don't eat catfish.
Because those are the cleaners.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. They were scavengers.
Those are the janitors that took out and
So
consume.
we only
And
bathed in
consumers as
front.
well.
That was it.
Yes.
And that was Gales Point. It was my father didn't like us to go to Belize City because he felt that Gales Point was sanitary and clean, and that was true. And everybody kept the yard. We wake up in the evening and burn everything. We had a big hole in the back to your drop all the leaves and so on. And I tell you, I like fire, so I used to like watch the flames.
Years ago, when I visited Gales Point, and I had a bath in the lagoon. And I can remember very well. There's a bubbling area where that bubble, a blue hole like that bubble up things, right?
Faults in the earth. Yeah, we have one. And if you push down in it, it shoots right up back. You put some.
Things in it.
You put like a post or something, a piece of a paddle or something. It goes. You have to watch it. It will hit you in your face.
Yes,
It comes.
I remember that. I remember doing that, and having a good time in that lagoon.
Other thing we have for that lagoon, when they call it the Manatee Lagoon, and there was a reason for that. During the mating season, the manatees used to come right in, and you would see them in the shallows. Great big animals. And along the front, they had grass. At that time, I didn't know that seagrass meant that the water was healthy, and the manatees ate that seagrass. After I came to Florida, I heard that the manatees were dying because the seagrass was dying. So I didn't know that. So we had seagrass growing all along the front of the place. Manatee was healthy. And also on the trees, orchids and bromeliads grew wild in Gales Point. We had a lot of, we didn't take them off if somebody died, got married, or when the church festivals, Easter, harvest, and so on, we use them for decoration, and they were gorgeous, beautiful, really, really nice. A variety of orchids grew in Gales Point. But the big thing about Gales Point is you learn dignity, how to behave yourself and to do something for yourself, how to speak properly, how to be respectful. I came to Belize City, and I tell you, I went to St. Hilda's, and then after I finished St. Hilda's, I didn't have any plans, but I went to work at Agriculture Department, and I was very fortunate there. My boss was Eric King, the late Eric King.
At Agriculture Department?
Because you apply for a job and they send us there.
You just applied for a public service job, and then they sent you to agriculture?
In those days, the brighter people who had more GCs, higher levels, and so on, went to Ministry of Finance and Customs and so on. That year, we did exceptionally well. Mr. Fuller was the head of the establishment, and we took Chapel Fuller. We took second class exam. And Mr. Fuller said, well, we don't have enough first class. You let everybody take even if they fail it, it don't matter, they get a feel for it. Man, and we clean up the exam. And Sandy Hunter he was a very nice, a real gentleman, Mr. Hunter.
At the time,
he was my Minister of Natural Resources.
Yeah.
He had a party for agriculture, forestry, and surveys because we did so well. I mean, it was really nice. Mr. King, my boss, was strict and very proper.
Let's tell these guys that we are talking about when we say Sandy Hunter was the minister, and so we are talking about self-government days, not independent days. We're not independent, so we're talking about self-government.
We had the Honorable George Price was head of government, and then we had an opposition at that time. Mr. Philip Golson was the Honorable Philip Golson was the leader of the opposition. Mr. Hunter was very polite. He always said good morning to everybody, and he always looked all neat.
I remember him.
That real nice man,
well,
a real gentleman. Yes, always well groomed. And Mr. King was very particular, everything. So I learned, yes, that was my boss. He had a master's in agriculture, so I looked up to him. And then
Alistair King's dad.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if Alistair is as good as Mr. Eric King. Mr. King was really a very nice man.
He loved Belize too,
Yes,
because I have a collection of his pictures of Belize.
I remember that. As girls, I was kind of nervous. I'd never been anywhere, and the group went. The girls on staff. We went to Central Farm. He made sure the staff looked after. It was cold. It was in November. Cayo was cold. He made sure we were well fed. I got trouble sick. I was embarrassed for that. And Mr. King just took it as nothing. Made sure the staff. Miss Andrewin, are you okay? I made sure we were okay. Later on, I saw everybody going to university. The boys were going to do degrees in agriculture, but they don't take girls. They didn't take girls. So a friend of mine
said, university, you're talking about UWI.
No, they went to
where?
to Costa Rica. I think some came to the United States.
Zamorano, maybe Zamorano in Honduras as well. They do
But they
agriculture.
weren't taking no girls.
They don't take girls, yeah.
Even Jamaica had a diploma program, but they weren't taking no girls. So a friend of mine said, "Well, you don't become a nurse." I said, "I don't want to be no nurse." He said, "Well, you say you like to travel, so that's a good job." Then Miriam Belgrave came home, and she was going to graduate school, and he came and said, "Hey, Miriam is here. Why don't you go?" Because I was underage, so you have to have somebody to sign for you to say like a surrogate parent. So I went to see Miss Belgrave, and she was very gracious. She said, "Okay, I'll sign for you, but make I tell you, I don't have no picnic." So I said, "Okay," I was glad.
Yeah.
So I had some money from working at agriculture, so I had to travel from Belize. Oh, I was excited to go, but that day I bawled. I'd never gone away from home, and I'm going by myself, and I'm going to a foreign country. So I had to leave from Belize, go to Merida by bus, and catch the plane all by myself. And that was an experience. Then when
What you recall of that experience? So
when I got to
beside the
Merida,
bawling.
I stayed I stayed in like a boarding, like a bed and breakfast sort of thing. It was a plaza with little, and the lady asked me, the proprietor's wife, where I was going. I do speak a little bit of Spanish, thank God for Miss Constance Westby, who taught Spanish at St. Hilda's.
You know, still can't leave pin there.
Why?
You know Miss Constance Westby? She was my
Mrs. Bradley after that, but she was my Miss Westby.
yes, but you know what I know about her?
What?
She was my godmother.
What?
Yes, Constance Westby.
She was a
you see.
nice person. Miss
God,
Westby.
Gary Cancer used to call her when I was small.
Yes. She was one of the few native Belizeans at St. Hilda's teaching,
Yeah.
and she was warm and caring. She never rough you up and so. And I remember I was anxious about history because the history teacher was a VSO from England. She had to leave. And one of the girls said, "Why not talk to Miss Westby?" And she loaned me some notes in history, so I managed to pass. Yes, Miss Westby, I never forgot her until. I'll tell you something else. I speak Spanish pretty well. And when her sister was sick, came to my intensive care unit at Jackson. When I got there, they asked, "Where they come from?" I said, "Belize." And they said, "Oh, we have a nurse here from Belize." And she said, "What's your name?" I said, "Marina Andrewin." She said, "Oh, I taught Marina." So my boss, Dr. Elsa, said, "You taught Marina? Are you her Spanish teacher?" And she said, "What?" He said, "Listen, Marina translates for everybody." When I came in, she hugged me. She said, "Marina, you made me proud." I saw lots of Spanish from Miss Westby.
Así es que doña Marina habla usted muy bien el español, ¿verdad?
Bastante bien. Y también con las personas de Venezuela. Y cuando visita Portugal, no necesita una ayuda.
Y yo alegre que fue mi madrina que le enseñó a hablar el español, ¿verdad?
Okay. Basta. The thing is, even now at work,
Yes.
I have to do the translation. You have little idiomatic things, but I manage pretty well. I never had to use a translator at Jackson or anywhere. I manage. Anyway, I went to Mr. King, and he gave me a really glowing recommendation to go. So I went to UWI. When I got there, I was like, "Oh my Lord, Jamaican food different. They are different from us." And 50 of us in the class. I'd never been away from home sleeping with that like that. I had a roommate. We're still friends. Actually, of the little group of us, she and I are only two left alive. Phyllis, she's up north. But by the time you settle in, then a few of the girls used to dance. So we had a little clique. Now the law, not the rule. The law was you're supposed to be we lived in. You couldn't be married. You couldn't have children. You were supposed to be in at 11:30. But we got in early. We get in somewhere around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And there was a way in, I tell you. I don't know anybody who got caught there.
Yes.
And whenever new groups of nurses come, they took in 50 every 6 months. They were well educated how to leave and how to come back. You come for an education, not to get into no trouble.
And at Mona, you used to go into the back fence, right?
Yeah,
You
we had a fence, yeah.
not area at the back fence?
Yes,
Because I'm familiar with the area at the back
The
fence. I want to know
nursing
if you
school also had a metal fence, but the thing is the bars were vertical. So
Yeah.
and at that time I weighed 100 pounds, so I could squeeze you like a snake.
Yes. Okay.
Anyway, so I got to see people like Bob Marley and all when they came on campus. I like music. I like theater. So I used to go watch theater a lot downtown. You get students to buy your ticket for you, and you meet all the medical students, so you help them out when they come on the ward, and you get them to buy the ticket cheaper, because they get it cheaper than us, and then we go to theater. So it was really nice, and I got to really enjoy myself. I did well at diploma. It was a diploma. It was not a degree program like no nurses do bachelors. In those days, it was diploma. And I did well, and they invited my parents, I guess, out of courtesy. And my father took it for granted. So my father, my mother, and 2 of my sisters came to my graduation to see me step up. I got a prize. I did well. I was lucky. I did well. So I stayed on, and I did critical care. So I finished critical care. While I was doing that, I met Mr. Bert Staine.
Okay, how
He
did you
had
meet
come-
Mr. Bert Staine now? It was
he
after the accident or before?
He came to unconscious to my hospital, to University of the West Indies Hospital. And I at first did not go because I felt, well, he is some big time person, and you know these people, maybe they're kind of snobbish, and I don't want to go there. Then one day I wanted to go, I was off, I wanted to go to lunch, but it was too early, so I said, make I go. No, I knew who he was and everything, because, and I decided, okay, let me go and get myself. So when I walked in, I introduced myself, and he said, oh, so you are Miss Andrewin? So yes. He said, well, everybody asking me about you. Everybody know you. Because what happened, West Indian culture, when you do well, people know you. And they talk up, oh, you know so-and-so, and they pass your name. So apparently even Professor Golding
Yeah, no, Professor Golding, indeed, yeah.
had asked him, everybody asked him, you know, Miss Andrewin, you know, because they call you formally, everybody asked him that. So I talked with him, and then I was sorry for him, he was in bed, and he had all these fractures and things. So I went and he said I asked him if he liked to read. Well, of course he does. So I went to buy Newsweek. I bought Newsweek and papers. So I used to supply him with Newsweek. And all through my marriage to him, he bought Newsweek. Well, he was always buying Newsweek. You know, that was a bonding point. So I'll tell you something about his unconsciousness, a story that he shared with me. He was telling me, you know, how he got to Jamaica.
Yeah.
But when he woke up, Professor Golding and Mr. Clarence Peters, who is the bursar and retired, Mr. Peters is still alive, and we still keep in. I just spoke to Mr. Peters a couple of days ago, and a couple other friends, they came to try to let him know that his wife died.
He didn't know his wife had died
He was
up to when he was in Jamaica?
He was
Yeah, but I remember
unconscious.
he was
So
very
they
unconscious.
waited until he became conscious, and then Professor Golding and these 2 friends, Mr. Peters, they came to his bedside. And Bert told me, he looked at them and said, so how was Laura's funeral?
Okay.
And that brings me now to a point I learned in nursing. When somebody is unconscious, you do not speak anything that you don't want him to know, because they can hear you.
Oh, yeah? So he heard,
He heard,
whenever they were
must have
talking about
been-
Laura, he heard
Hold on.
everything.
He heard that in Belize Hospital, midday news.
Wow.
So,
So
you know, we have the midday
you
news.
have the news on, you have the news on loud, because I remember that.
BHBS or something
It
like
was Radio Belize at the
Radio
time.
Belize, So
I was already working there when all that happened. I started working in 1968. So 1971, I was already there for 3 years.
Well, he heard it, and he had to have been there. He heard the whole thing.
Didn't know that.
Yes.
You see, that's
And
something
so
I've
when
learned.
he told me, I said, this is why when somebody's we are taught that as nurses, you don't speak over somebody who is unconscious. They hear you. You have to say things that you want them to hear or know. Yeah.
Well, you know, I hope that is a piece of knowledge that we can share.
David, that's my son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the accident, I can remember the night of that accident on the Western Highway, right, the road between Belmopan and Belize City, right? I think it was around mile 31, somewhere in that area there. So I can't. But when the accident
He had
happened,
gone to Horace Young's birthday party.
yeah.
Because both of them, I think Bert was born on the 4th of July, Horace Young was the 5th of July. And he didn't want to go, but his wife wanted to go. So some of her friends, that is what he told me. And so he said, okay, let's go. And that's when it happened. So all I know of it is what he told me. And he don't remember nothing. The truck hit him. I know who the truck driver was. And that was it. He woke up in Jamaica.
Yeah, and then
orthopedic ward
and his
was
wife Laura had died, and that prompted Frankie Renault to write the whole Mass in Blues, because Laura was his music teacher, right?
Music
and
teacher.
that led him write the Mass in Blues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you didn't know Laura, right?
I knew her by sight because she's a St. Hilda's person. So you know everybody. You know, when you go to alumni meetings or so, you see everybody. So I knew everybody, but I didn't know her to speak to. I never spoke to her. I saw her when you go to St. Hilda's old girls meeting. We had fundraisers, so I saw her. You know, she was older than me, but I was a younger woman, so you know, I go to meetings and you see them. You know, the other thing is that talking about that road. The Bishop Eldon Sylvester came to see. He always come there. Bert used to do legal things for the church. And he did for the Catholic Church too, because he started out as a Catholic at Holy Redeemer. And Mother Superior would call, you know, Albert home, he's one of my boys. So I tell Bert to go on and go, they're waiting for you to see us. Anyway, the bishop came and Bert tell him, you know, be careful, you know, that car is small, if anything. And he laughs, oh my Lord. And he said, okay. Bert left the next day or so to go up north to criminal session started in Corozal. The evening, the courts finished, he went over the border to go to a restaurant. So when the head of the lab, Douglas Fairweather, called me and tell me what happened and asked me to find him, I said he's up in Corozal, asked the police to go get him, because they will know where he is. And that's when they called him and he had to come down.
Because of the accident that had happened with Bishop Eldon Anthony Sylvester.
He was also on the vestry for the church, the leading body of the church. Bert did all, but he was always there working with the vestry, so they called him. It was a horrible experience.
When we come back, Andrewin Staine speaks of her perseverance to succeed despite the many challenges she initially faced after relocating to the U.S. with her son. We take time out to thank the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations for partnering with us to make these shows possible.
The future is ours. This is Belize. We welcome you back home, if only for a visit. The government of Belize is committed to mobilizing a productive partnership with you, the diaspora. With that in mind, the government has created the Diaspora Relations Unit within the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. The general objectives of the unit are to raise Belize's profile on the international stage, grow the economy by increasing exports and attracting inward investments, promote trade, provide information and support to Belizeans abroad, encourage expertise exchange and identify opportunities for philanthropy. Developing an effective relationship with each of you will offer a platform from which to showcase Belize's excellence and generate much-needed exchange of ideas and resources. Our vision: an inclusive and participatory Belizean society, where every Belizean contributes to national development and shares in the benefits thereof, notwithstanding place of residency. Composition of the unit: Ambassador for Diaspora Relations, non-resident, Senior Liaison Officer, Liaison Officer, Secretary, Office Assistant. Knowing and understanding you is crucial to engaging effectively. You must be involved and included in the development of our country. We will engage you through our registry, online outreach, other initiatives, and awareness campaigns tailored to bringing you back home while enjoying the benefits offered. Empowering our diaspora includes mobilizing the transfer of skills and resources. Government will empower this process by introducing special measures and programs in different fields of expertise. Dissemination of information is key and serves to heighten awareness of various products and services. Our website is one such example of empowering our Belizeans abroad. Through the website, valuable information will be shared worldwide with you, the members of the diaspora. Maintaining the connection is widely regarded as important for the development of our country. Staying connected will give you access to regularly updated news, relevant resources, learning and funding opportunities. We encourage you to stay connected to your home country by participating in programs designed to facilitate diaspora engagement. The interaction we have with you is only going to increase as technology and communications allow you to play a role without returning home. In addition to remittances, you have contributed generously to the Belizean community by donating food, clothing, education, and medical supplies. The Diaspora Relations Unit is committed to maintaining active connections with you as we continue to create positive changes in our country. We are always here for you. Visit our website at belizediaspora.bz or email us at diaspora.relations@tourism.gov.bz.
Shell V-Power with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
My name is Carlos Rodriguez. I am Belizean and I have been in this business for 6 years. Finally now, because of transparent prices, better product quality and fairness in the market, I can see my headway. I have worked hard to buy my own trucks, get my business going, and not depend on anyone. And with NGC operating in the market, I can feel good about the future for my small Belizean business and our employees. In just a short time, I have seen the difference in product quality. A better product means your beauty lasts longer and you get more value for your money. With NGC, there is a fair price across the country. No games or hidden middleman prices. My small business can finally compete in a fair way and be able to pass on better prices to you, our consumers. Trust me, I've been in this business a long time and finally the playing field is level and transparent. I am Carlos Rodriguez from San Ignacio Town and I can finally see my headway.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me that me.
The accident you are talking about, where Salbert Staine and his wife Laura at the time were involved in, caused the loss of life of Laura.
Yes.
And that led to Frankie Renaud composing the work that every Belizean knows, the famous Mass in Blues, because Laura was his music teacher. In tribute to her, and that he inspired. To me, that's Frankie's greatest work. Frankie sometimes likes to say no, but that's Frankie's greatest work. Mass and Blues, as far as Belizeans are concerned.
That definitely is.
Right?
Definitely is. It's a beautiful piece of work.
So now we are at where you meet Sir Albert in Jamaica. He's unconscious, but when he regains consciousness, he tells you.
When he was conscious. Because I never went, and one day, he was there for a long time, so I met him when he was conscious, and then I realized that he's bored. This is somebody who read and very active, so I brought Newsweek for him a couple days later, and then after that, I always brought Newsweek magazines and newspapers and so on for him, because he read a lot, so, and that was, it's good for you mentally and psychologically to be able to involve in other things as opposed for you, because physiotherapy is a bad experience. Ask anybody. It is extremely painful. And we did have narcotic pain relievers, but not like today. You needed to be up enough to do the exercises and the stretches and so on. And UWI had a full core of physiotherapists from England, and they came every day, and you had a good workout for half an hour, 1 hour. And I remember Bert telling me when he saw the physiotherapist coming, he wanted to stick something and throw her out because he knew pain was coming, you know. Even when he got an analgesic before, it was painful. But he recovered pretty well from it.
How long you stayed in the hospital in Mona?
I really don't recall, but I'm absolutely sure he was there almost 2 months. It was a long time because he regained conscious, then he had to get physiotherapy and all of that so that he could. And after he regained consciousness, his leg was almost an inch shorter. Nobody knew that because they built up his shoe. So whenever he bought a pair of shoes, before he wore it, he had to take it to the shoemaker to increase the sole. So you didn't know that he had a limp. Nobody knew that, yeah.
And so you two obviously got close to each other and over a period of time.
Then I was doing a postgrad. I was doing a postgrad in critical care, and I decided that he wanted to get married. I did not plan to get married. I'm a career woman. I was accepted into Howard University to do my bachelor's, and that was my dream. I was accepted into University of Puerto Rico. So plan A, B, and C was to come to Belize and see if government will give me a student loan, which I know I'd be bonded, but I didn't mind, and then I got to Howard. Let me tell you, I kept that paper for many, many years. I wanted to go to Howard so bad. Anyway, while I was married, Bert said to me, let's get married, but I'll give you time, make you go back to university. So that was a promise.
You said while you were married, while you were waiting.
No, I got married.
Oh, you got married?
I gave up Howard University, got married, and then he said, I'll let you go. That was the promise. So I got a Commonwealth scholarship. I went to take Commonwealth exams. Because I had surgery, and they said I couldn't have a child right away. So I said, well, while I'm waiting, let me go back. You say you're going to send me back. Let me go. So I took the exam. He didn't want me to go. He didn't feel I was well enough to do it, but I'm a strong-willed person. I said, no, I want to go because I don't want to stay there. I felt, what if I never have a child? Let me go and get something that belongs to me. So I went to University of the West Indies. And it was nerve-wracking. I was a nervous wreck because I'm always afraid of failing. I did well, and I was very blessed with that. Got through all of that, came back home, and then we had David, my son. David was born in '76. That's my only child I have, David. And afterwards, when David was 8, I came up to the United States, went around, and I was looking for somewhere that would employ me so I could go back to university. I wanted to go to Shands.
So it was the studies that brought you to the United States, the desire to continue your studies?
Yes.
Even after you had your child?
That was always my dream, to get a bachelor's and a master's. When I was in Gales Point, I wanted a master's degree. Don't ask me why, because we were so poor and we couldn't afford it. And I was blessed. I went to FIU, which is a state college and cheaper, and I graduated with honors, Phi Kappa Phi, which means that my grade point was among the top 10 university graduates for the whole year in any field. Went to my head. My parents came, and that was the year I bought this house.
So you decided to live, and where was Sir Albert at that time?
He was still alive. He was in Belize.
Okay.
He died shortly after that. He got sick, acutely ill, and died. I had this house, and I had David to raise. I put David in Catholic school.
So when you made the decision to stay, was he still alive when you made that decision to stay?
Yes,
So the plan was for him to retire and come here?
Never. Our relationship had drifted apart. We got along well. David went for summer. We talked every week and so on. I had a terrible phone bill because we didn't have WhatsApp. And but that was it. We were at peace with each other. He was there and I was there. And we talked and all. And David was close to him because that's his only child. So that was it. And I was a better parent, more involved with a younger child. Bert was older than me, so I had to make sure that my son was well grounded like that. He was a good parent. But as a mother, you feel that they might spoil your child. So that was it. Anyway, I put David in Catholic school here because the discipline, I'm used to that. And I went to FIU. My parents came when I bought the house. My priest was coming to bless the house, this house. And the phone rang. It was the dean at University of Miami's secretary. Heidi called me, Marina, I have good news. It's official, but it's not official, but it's official. It's real. I said, what are you talking about? She said, you got into graduate school. So when my priest came, my father, just standard 6, and my mother, they were ecstatic. Ecstatic. And Jackson Memorial gave me a full master's scholarship. Didn't cost me a penny. And I got a master's, but I didn't want to do a PhD because I felt that I was hoping that I would become a clinical nurse specialist. But there's, I don't know, I think a little bit of racism, plenty. So you see how things are going. But as a Belizean, your thing is make it. The Jamaicans used to say, we come to drink milk, not to count cows. So you find your way around. So I went back to graduate school, this time on my money. And this time I went back to state college, because state colleges are cheaper. And I became an adult health nurse practitioner. Went to interview, I graduated Sigma Theta Tau, academic excellence. And this is International Honor Society of Nursing. I got it for academic excellence. It means a lot. And it's the same color as all red Belize gold. This is my father, gave this to my mother. And it has the same color. So I always wear it. This Manatee girl was making it.
Making it big time too.
Well, and then I was once nurse practitioner there at Jackson. I was vice president to the Nurse Practitioner Association. I get that out of readers group. And you could get by now, I have a mouth, I could talk.
I noticed you could talk very well, but I enjoy listening to you. So go ahead.
And I like teaching. I love teaching. I love people. I like to work with the patients. I love that. Primary care is my specialty. And then there were 2 vacancies in Jackson, one in the jail and one in the hospital. I took the one in the jail. Everybody went crazy. The head of the union called me.
Why the one in the jail?
Autonomy.
Why?
Autonomy. Less
in what form?
competition. You have less people who don't like you because you're an immigrant, because you're black, blah, blah, blah. I felt I could learn, I could do better. And let me tell you, that was no piece of cake. Every day you saw not less than 20 patients. One time I had 8 people going to dialysis 3 times a week, mean the kidney shut down. I had any kind of cardiomyopathy. I had pacemakers. I had diabetics. I had hypertensives. I had seizures, drug addicts, mentally ill. We had a full psych section. And TB, we had an airborne precaution section. We had TB and drug-resistant TB. You work. I saw diseases there. Then you had wounds, gunshots, stab wounds. I didn't know police dogs could bite. I had wounds open from here to there. And the people who swallowed, there are people who bring cocaine and so on and morphine. They swallow it. Well, they open them and sometimes some of it leak. So that wound is open. So they open like a zipper. And you have to take care of that wound until it heals. You work.
So you've had quite a full share of experience.
Had 17 beds.
How long you worked there?
15 and a half years. The best job I ever had. My father, when I first got the job, was not pleased, But, darling, it sounds good, but you work with them kind of people. And I said to him, Papa, people are people. Everybody need. I was married to the Chief Justice, and up until when I got that job, that is when man is a biopsychosocial being. You can be sick in any one of those domains.
I heard you saying that earlier, and you mentioned the 4 domains. Remind me.
Domains. Biological, psychological, and social. You could be sick physically.
Yes.
Like you have diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever. But you could also be sick mentally. You could inherit that, or because of the way you live, the stresses make you get depressed, get anxiety, whatever your life and you could also, to me, the one that worry me, especially here, is social disease.
Social disease in what form? Because there are many forms of social disease.
People who have no conscience or little. They get anger management, they attack people, they shoot people, they're on drugs, they get high, they have, and this regardless of what strata, how wealthy or how poor you are, any one of those is, and to me, I worry about people who are poor because we don't have no money to go to get therapy and treatment to get cured. And it begins at birth. When you grow up, I talk about my family, the love, the discipline. Nowadays, we have little 2-year-olds who know tablet and who know cell phone and everything. Those kids are smarter than you are. Yeah. Beating them up is not the way. You need to talk to them, teach them manners, teach them to be gratitude, teach them life, to be kind to animals, to be kind to other people. It's very, very, very important. How to eat, why you eat vegetables, how to share, how to be caring, how to be respectful. And that, today we have a large amount of women who work, career women. When I was a child, I don't know the day when I go home and mama wasn't there. Now, I'm a career woman. Thank God, my mother thought I'd get mentally ill when I came here because she couldn't understand how I was working. I worked 12-hour nights from 7 p.m. until 7:30 a.m. for 15 years so I could go to university. And she couldn't see how you could be a mother working and going to university. She was a housewife. My father took care of everything. So she came and that was my blessing. Mama stayed for 9.5 years. So we never had to worry about food. And David better not come in here late. When he learned to drive, that car better park out there because that was no joke with my mother. She would make sure, always. So he learned. And when he go home, I would say, make sure you go to people's house, you wipe your foot. You eat whatever they give you. Mom, I know, I said, but I remind you, I don't want people to say that, no manners and, and look down on the family. So that is a part of our culture, that respect, the way you handle people means a lot to me. And that will determine how you as an individual interact in your family, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your country. My concern right now as a Belizean, I have lived away from home most of my life.
So how do we solve some of because sometimes it's better looking at you can understand more looking at the problem from a distance. Because when you're part of something, it's hard for you to see because you're much a part of it. But if you're looking from a distance like you are, then you might be able to recommend.
Because you look at my house, I don't want Belizean. That will never change. When I open my mouth, people say, where you come from? I'm brown. Whenever I say I'm from, I went to Belize. I know I want to go to Belize now. I listen to Jeopardy almost every night. And there are questions on Belize. I feel proud. I just saw Shunantinich flash last night. I text everybody, guess what? Just see Shunantinich on TV. It means a lot. We are a great people. However, a couple of years ago, my brother lost his eldest daughter from crime. She was a high school teacher, just completed a master's degree. Went home, 2 fellows came to rob them. 2 friends of hers were there with her, shot them, killed them, and take a whole second-hand SUV for that, a life. You see that's
sad.
Alaris when she was in high school. She have others. She was an artist. She was a brilliant, pretty woman, very pretty and lively and like children. And that, I got sick for the first time in my life. That's the worst thing that ever happened to my life because I don't have a daughter and we have that bond. But I have decided that one of the things I, as a human being, I've done this before. I've talked at churches here in the United States. I've gone home as a guest speaker for the Board of Nursing, and I talk about relationships. Health begins in utero. If a woman is carrying a child, she's unhappy, she doesn't know where next, whatever is happening, it puts a stress. We as mothers and fathers we have single parents, we have bonded families, we have all kind of family structures now in society. It's not who makes the family, it's how people in the family behave. How we treat each other. As Belizeans, we got that. I'm telling you how I grew up in a little village and how it was.
There's a lot of love you're saying.
And love is a verb. How you behave.
Where did we go wrong then to have all this sort of activity that we are present?
Time you end up with material things. You want something better. You don't notice anybody. You don't know what it is. How are you feeling today? My neighbor next door is a vet. He and his wife got COVID. He was in for almost over 2 weeks. She never came home. And I always make, hey, miss, I never see you. How you doing? It's like that. Little things. He always come over. He help me with the gardening sometimes. And he's a very busy person. That to me is love. I know he cares about me. I don't sit down in his house, but I know he cares about me and he knows I care about him. And that is what it's about. We have to begin to teach the children from kindergarten school how to behave. I don't have no grandchildren. My niece Samia, you know Samia, who married to the Mexican ambassador. She used to be on TV with, what's the name of that TV station? Marina Andrewin. Well, Samia, she has a little boy. He's just turned 5 a few days ago. He is extraordinary. They just got transferred from Mexico City to Jamaica. And he said, the school, he went to YWCA because he said he was bored. No, you know, 4 years old can tell you he's bored. He went to the school, and so his mother said, how was your day? He said, well, it was good, but one thing he didn't like. And she said, what? Said they didn't let the girls get the cars. So when my turn came, I gave it to a girl. Because he was raised that girls and boys are equal, so because you must share. When he went to Belize, he tell the neighbors in Mexico City, "Oh, Belize is wonderful." He, how does, because he saw he went to the Maya ruins, he went to the beach. He get to appreciate that. He boasts about his grandpa Philip that he's strong because he go to the gym, and that child has learned family, and now he's passing it into the community.
So when did we start in Belize losing these family values? What do you think contributed to the loss of that?
I think the family structure. A lot of women.
When did it start? You're telling me at the time when you grew up that it was there because everybody felt the love and the warmth of it. So
And the
how
security.
and where and when did we start losing that in Belize?
I think it started out when people began to get less man and women became less caring towards each other. I told you love is a verb. You don't have to live with somebody, but at least you could check on them. A friend of mine tell me this guy, she was her ex-husband, "Oh, I bring some fish for you. I see some good fish in the market, so I bring some for you." And that is love. That is love. If you're sick, that person, I hear you're sick, how you feeling? Now you have cell phones, little things like that. Little caring behaviors. I call my auntie 100. She healthier than me. I call her every week to see. I call Mr. Peters every week, once a month, because they mean a lot to me. They are birth's friends, and it's like a contact. That connection is like a family. I call my family, and we talk. You don't always agree, and you argue or whatever, but that does not break away that love bond. And love is a verb, the way you behave, the way you treat somebody. And you had to make it known to them. You mean a lot to me. I am proud of you. I tell you, my grandmother was proud of us because we were getting an education. For her, that was the secret to success in life, not money. Okay. It's sitting. Once you get into society, now you give back. People like Miss Alice Gibson, Miss Westby, they gave back. They went over and above the call of duty to nurture and make us feel important.
So how can we go about now reversing the present situation that exists?
Education. It starts with education in the
how
family.
do you say education?
In the family, mothers need to be told because they have to go to work, not like once upon a time. Yes, they have a washing machine and a fridge and all that, but they need to be taught how to parent. That time you have to go to work, yes, but you have to spend parenting time. Whether you live with the father or not, he have to have parenting time.
You're talking about parenting time, which is very important, but would you say then that the migration to the United States of a lot of parents who left children in Belize who were raised by granny or by neighbors and friends may have contributed a bit, not obviously not 100% to situation?
It does,
you
because
think
there's the bond between mother and child, father and child is a God-given. And it does. And then the children begin to grow up feeling entitled. For them, love is a pair of Nike. Yes, or some fancy clothes, some name brand. Love is not, you're going to school, but during the summer, I'm going to come and spend 2 weeks with you, or you're going to come and stay with me. Sometimes you can't afford to do it. That's the truth. But also, the person who looks after your child needs parenting skills and needs support. We need community things like YWCA, and the church is critical. Reading about, and I'm not being disrespectful, about Peter and Paul, that's all right. Then people are Jews and are not Belizean. And so I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but I'm saying that once a month, the church needs to address these things. How man and woman, how auntie, everybody should behave, what we can do. We need to have really classes.
In our final segment, Marina Andrewin Staine shares the importance of having a good education. She also shares some recommendations to improve the quality of life in Belize.
Shell V-Power with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
My name is Carlos Rodriguez. I am Belizean and I have been in this business for 6 years. Finally, now, because of transparent prices, better product quality, and fairness in the market, I can see my headway. I have worked hard to buy my own trucks, get my business going, and not depend on anyone. And with NGC operating in the market, I can feel good about the future for my small Belizean business and our employees. In just a short time, I have seen the difference in product quality. A better product means your beauty lasts longer and you get more value for your money. With NGC, there is a fair price across the country. No games or hidden middleman prices. My small business can finally compete in a fair way and be able to pass on better prices to you, our consumers. Trust me, I've been in this business a long time and finally the playing field is level and transparent. I am Carlos Rodriguez from San Ignacio Town and I can finally see my headway.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The Trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You that you and me that me.
Just like how you have now, they have birthing classes. When I go up, the midwife deliver you. And you do fine. Now you have birthing classes, how to go through and how to deal with children. Some children are easy. They eat everything, they behave, and some throw themselves on the floor and bawl for no reason. And you wait, I'm going to give you something for bawl for. Something is wrong while bawling. There's some anxiety, something wrong. And not every child is the same. So we have to have that way you can, when you take your child to the pediatrician, you go to clinic, you say you know something, nurse, and now we have nurse practitioners who are like physicians. I prescribe, I diagnose, I do everything. I'm not a physician, I am a nurse. I have a license. I have to renew it every 2 years. Any disease at all, I will meet it and deal with it. I know when to pass it on, to work it up and pass it on to the specialist. The thing is that the same way, that mother have to know that I notice this one wet the bed, or you don't eat, or you cry, or you get nervous, or something. Then you need to have things that children do to develop their mind. You know, it's not just numbers, math, and that. No, they need to have social things to get, and that is critical. Another critical group is your adolescent and your teen, because then they begin to drift away from the family. They need to be taught.
Education. You mentioned education earlier. You mentioned education strongly. That, you know, in your mind, as far as you know, what does education mean to you? What type of education are you talking about?
I am talking about psychosocial education, because I do medicine, but I do psychosocial too. When I get, like now they're coming for physical, I try to get a parent, are you sexually active? And we talk that love is a verb, it's not some sexual activity. How you doing, what are your dreams, how you going to do it? If you're not doing well at school, who you could talk to? You could get a tutor, get some other student to help you. Things like that. Because you not tell your parents, say, I failed my exam. You keep that secret, make them find it out later on, or see if you could cover it up somehow or the other. And it lose your self-esteem. For people who are poorer, you want to look good, the hair, the clothes like everybody else. Whereas your self-esteem is how well you perform and how you feel about you. Because if I don't like me and I don't feel good about me, then I will not feel good about, I won't accept that you even think well of me.
Don't you think that's where we maybe have gone wrong? That we have not taught that law that the Bible has very clearly spelled out. Love your neighbor as yourself, not more than yourself.
as yourself.
Because the first you have to understand love, and the first when you understand love, then you will love yourself. So you won't hurt yourself. You won't put yourself in funny positions. You won't. You don't want nobody to shoot you. You know.
you won't shoot
So
them
you
either.
won't go shoot nobody.
Exactly.
You know, because you don't want them to. So you love your neighbor as yourself.
Yourself.
So you think if maybe we had taught that from maybe kindergarten,
Yes.
self-love, self-esteem, the
Yes.
importance of
And
who you are in
resilience,
God's word.
because what I used to tell when I was in the jail, and I had men, women, and children. At one time, I had 3 kids who were less than 16 with murder. And one of the things that I had to teach them is that everybody make mistakes and everybody have trouble on this earth. Even Jesus Christ had trouble. Now, the thing is, you have to be resilient. Pick up yourself, blow your nose, blow your nose, wash your face, and say, okay, what I have to play with. I remember one day a guy came to the clinic, and he told him he was having chest pain when he walked in. Now, he came to see me. I said, why you in the clinic today? He said, Miss Staine, I got life. I said, I waited, I watched him. I said, and what about your parenting? Miss Staine, I tell you, I got life. I said, what about your parenting? He was a businessman. He was bringing drugs from South America and very wealthy. But he's going in for life because somebody got killed, as well as his job, his trade. So now I'm saying to him, you know how you get where you're going. You have 2 children and your wife have to go to work. I never bother tell her maybe the feds might go in and take everything that you have. What I said to him, you now need to do parenting. You sit down, you know how much to do. I said to him, make sure you act respectful regardless of what happening. Maybe they put you to a good place or they put you closer to Florida so you could see your family. But every day, when you make that call, get the kids, how your homework, you finish, you wash your dishes, you help your mom, and develop that relationship and let them know. We had inmates too who went to school, and they got time off for that. And one day, my trustee in the clinic said to me, Miss Staine, I feel good about myself today. I said, how was it? He said, I felt good. He said, I don't care what happened to me, but today I feel good. I said, why? He said, I went to school, and one little boy, he had 12, 13 years old, haul up his hoodie and sleep, and he walk up to the desk and he slam his hand, blam. He said, you see, punk, I'm like you. That's how I used to behave. Say, everybody jumped. He said, I was felt bad because the little girl was so frightened. She wanted to cry. He said, but that is the type of behavior. He said, look where I am now. Look at the clothes I wear, because I wasn't paying attention. I didn't make use of the opportunities to advance myself. I figured I could do it illegally and fast. And sharing, he said, I feel good about myself. I never forgot that man. Never. 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 He said, I don't care if they don't take off time off me, Miss Staine. Today, I feel good about myself. No, that is resilience and that is self-esteem. So that was my best job, working in it, because I got to see another side of humanity. I got to see another, and I got to understand. I had a fellow come in, he was a gang leader. When they brought him, they shut down the whole jail and they bring and drop him on the house top on the helicopter pad on the roof. It was that bad. So I said, the guy come in, a little maga man, and I'm like, what, they come, 6 officers, everybody. I'm like, they lock down the clinic, so he alone coming. As you come in, you have to get a physical to make sure everything. I'm like, what the devil with them? This little maga man, they come, and they're having chain, hand and foot. So I got to know him real good. And one day he put in a sick call request, and I said to him, wow, look at your handwriting. Boy, what kind of school you gone? He looked at me and he lay back. He said, Miss Staine, I wasn't always a criminal, I said, I didn't say that. I'm saying your handwriting is nice. And he looked at the officer. He said, can I talk to me? I said, he said, Miss Staine, I said, yes. Can you always make time? Because that time is critical. That's where you touch a life. He said, Miss Staine, my mother was a prostitute. I am used to her going from we were 4. I'm the eldest at 3. So I was a bright kid at school. And the guys, I said, how you manage when your mother was gone? He said, at first we didn't even know why she gone. But we never bothered because the whole neighborhood, everybody in the apartment take care of them. And the guys used to send him to deliver. They'd give him a plastic bag, carry this to me. So he said, I didn't know afterward, I found out. So I decided, a waste of time, got out of school. This is making money. Opportunity. So that is how he got into, and then he said, when I was 15, I got a car. I said, how? He said, the guys bought it for me and organized it up, and I learned to drive, and I was driving. You see that? Opportunity. He felt important. He was making money, and so he went to crime.
So you to solve a problem like that, then you're saying that there should be more opportunities for people to make it.
Organization. They have Scout. You have YWCA things. Here they have police club. In every precinct, the police know where the high-risk people are. And they need to reach out to those kids. Have meetings, have sporting events, have outings, have something for them. Something that they can, some occasion, very often, that they can go bring your homework. Somebody officer will help you with your homework, where they can go and feel validated and feel precious.
So you're talking something like forming positive gangs as against the norm?
And even some retirees, some people could go in and do a little bit of teaching or a little bit of something, and little things. When at my church, one time I went and I talked about personal hygiene, acne, deodorant, things like that. And I was shocked. The kids come, and everybody had questions. I was surprised. Because there are things you don't ask your parent, but you will ask somebody else. So that's where it is. We need to have that bond, that person. And if you have a problem, you know who you could call. Now we have cell phones.
Now you have all this knowledge, right? And this passionate feeling. How could you assist your home country now with all the knowledge you have gained over here? Do you have any plans for that?
Some years ago, the UDP Prime Minister and some ministers came. A couple of months ago, some PUP ministers came and we had town hall meeting. My dream before I die, God please, I would like to have every year, we have a month of crime prevention. And we begin to talk to the church, talk to the families, talk to all the institutions of our Belizean society, and everybody pitching. Because look at it, if we have crime, you're going to kill tourism. So all the hotel owners, everybody could contribute. And there are people, there's a young lady, Kay, she just wrote a paper on gangs. Excellent dissertation for her PhD. She lives in Belize. We have the resources. We have people who could come. We could do it. I will come. Tell me, and I'm going to take the time off and come. I am a nurse. But you have people who did psychology, who do philosophy. We have religious people. And when you look at religion, it's not just the rituals. It's the principles that we're looking at. How we put them into action. And that is what I would like to see for Belize. And don't forget my country people, my villages and so on. Because a lot of the kids move away from the villages because of the bright lights of the city and action.
No, I've spoken to several people here, and a lot of them have the dream of retiring in Belize, spending their last years back home. Do you have any such desires?
I have been away from home for a very long time. And here I have my son, and I have a social life. I could pick up myself anytime and go and see a play. I can go to see some music. I can, cheap ticket, I can go to New York or wherever. I'm very contented. And the thing is, I've been away from home too long. You see me chatting here, but I really don't have close friends. I have family. I've been functioning on my own since, for always. So I'm used to doing things on my own. So I could live home, but I'll be lonely.
So Ms. Staine, how are you going to do this? How do you propose that we do what you're talking about?
I really believe Belize already has the resources. In Belize, and we have diaspora Belizeans. And I think every year we need to have a crime prevention month. We must, where we use the resources, or institutions, the family, religion, social services, law enforcement, everything, and we come together and make sure we include people in rural areas. That is critical. Whether you have them, because everybody have a TV now, so you could have TV programs where we could discuss and get people to talk about how to deal with children, see if we can set up resources, where you can call somebody and talk about some behavior problem, whether it's anger management, whether it's your spouse, your children, or your neighbors.
A lot of our problems are also caused by the lack of economic opportunities. I think you alluded to that as well.
But you could have, we have people with money who behave bad.
So it's not necessarily lack of economic opportunities that would cause that, because people like to blame it on that many times. They say, okay, because we don't have the economic opportunities.
I work in places where people had money, we come to jail with money, behave badly.
So it's individual, basically, that needs the change have to come from within.
Individual, your self-esteem, and having hope. That's what God gives us, hope. But then you say you pray, but then you don't do anything. We have to do something with that hope. Know that you have, in each one of us, we have potential.
I have something that I usually use, and I'll ask you to comment on it before we leave, because of time, we might have to. But just my thing that I keep saying is about faith, hope, and love. And I think my friends hear me talking about it all the time, that we set goals, even goals like this of minimizing crime in our country, right? It could be a goal that we set because we love our country, right? But in setting that goal, we have to have faith that we will reach that goal, and we will reach it. And then faith without action, like you're rightly saying, won't work, and that action is fueled by hope. So that is why they say faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love, because the inspiration starts with the love of country in the case that we're talking about.
And you got to love yourself, love your family, love your neighborhood, because that is what make up our society. That's what make Belize, Belizeans.
But the love starts first with self.
And love of self has to do with how you value yourself.
But you need to know who you are too, to value yourself.
And remember, I said love is a verb, so you have to do something to make yourself valuable. You just can't sit down there and say, I'm great. No, you have to act. And that's where it comes. We have to act. If we don't act, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen.
But and then these all boils down to love, right? Right?
Well, I'm hoping that we get started soon. I told you both parties have come and nothing happened, and I think we need to get a movement going. I am hoping that somewhere along the line, I'm old, and I'm hoping that somewhere Belize have a movement for crime prevention, and that has to do with psychological and social diseases.
A lot of healing has to go on, though.
Oh, yes. Right. But we can if you don't come forward, if we don't identify the disease and pretend that it doesn't exist. And Belizeans, and I think most of third world people, we don't deal with mental illness and social illness. That's something you stay, not to right in my head, but you put it aside. Not that, what can we do? What can happen? And some of the signs and symptoms were there from youth. Very often we ignore them until something bad happens. So I think that is I think that is something we have to begin to address. We got good diagnostic studies now, good in Belize, good doctors, and we can, they can refer you, whatever. But now we got to begin to work on the psychological and the social aspect of life, because that is what really makes life precious. That is the crux of it.
Well, Mr. Staine, thank you so much for talking with us, and for receiving us here in your home. And I would hope that one day I would see you in Belize soon.
Let's get something going soon. Let's talk to our ministers, and I think the Prime Minister's wife might be a patron, and we could get something organized and begin. There are people in Belize we could get in and who could do it. Trust me. And every year for a whole month, because you got to reach as much and get people to come in and talk there. Even some people who have been to jail, let them tell you the story. Let them tell you how they ended up where they are. What happened to them? You will be very surprised. Trust me. Trust me. What happened? Why? How did you get to this point? You learn a lot. You really, really learn. My husband sentenced people that I never realized that there was another page to that, a whole book. What happened to those people. So we need to salvage them. We can't. And jails cost a lot of money, by the way.
Cost more to keep somebody.
Because you have the health. They have the diseases, like everybody else. Plus, you have to feed and clothe them. And what happening to the family out there when they're sitting down behind there? What happened to the children? The shame, the worry, they lose self-esteem. So it becomes like a cycle. It's like a ball that gets bigger. So we have to find some way of stopping it.
That's right. And only the people can save the people, says an old saying. You know, so we have to do it ourselves, you know, as Belizeans.
I'm doing this because I'm hoping that somehow we can get something started soon. You know, I'm really, really hoping for that. Okay. Alrighty.
Mrs. Staine, thank you so much for having me here, and thank you so much for talking with me.
My pleasure. It was an
and,
honor.
and thanks for the lovely show too.
And whenever you're ready, give me a call. I'll come.
Okay. And you know what you say on Love FM? Belize and beyond. Thanks for choosing love. I guess you hear that sometimes, right? All right. Thank you, Ms. Staine. All right. Belize Watch. Knowledge of the past, impacting the present, building the future.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me that me. But guess what?